Hey, this is David from Dash Off-Road, and I'm here to talk to you about running 2 sets of tyres. If you've considered running 2 sets of tyres, this is the video for you. If you want something that for off-road and then for street, I'm going to talk about the considerations we need to go through. First of all, why would we have 2 sets of tyres? Honestly, they're expensive things to start with. Why would we want 2 sets? So I didn't do this straight away because I wanted to get my value out of the factory tyres that came with the car, but then of course I wanted to upgrade. Why do I want to upgrade? Well, for that off-road prowess. When you have a look at the factory tyre, which is this one over here, it's about just the shade under 33 inches, and I want to step it up, so you can legally go up 2 inches in most parts of Australia now, which gives you an extra 1 inch of clearance. And really the only way to get your car higher off the ground or get your diff further off the ground, is to increase tyre size. The next thing is about traction. A 33 inch tyre. So this is the factory tyre, it's all terrain, light truck, so it's not too bad to be honest as far as a factory tyre here, but you can see there's not really any protection. It scalps in, and that's because they want the tread pattern to be as narrow as possible for you to return the best fuel economy. So this is a 2 inch bigger tyre, but look how much wider the track is. 315 millimeters across. It is huge. That traction off-road is what really turns your four-wheel drive into a supercar, really, when it's off-road. So let's talk about these tyres in different conditions. So on sand, your factory tyre is fine, no problems at all. On sand, the bigger tyre will be as good, if not better. Actually a lot better, just because it's got more width to it, and when you deflate it, so this is a 17 inch rim, that's an 18 inch rim, means I've got more rubber on the sidewall. When you let the pressure down, the tread pattern gets so much longer, and that's really what you need for sand. So I must admit, this more aggressive pattern still works incredibly well on sand. On road, amazingly, they both work really well on road too. The only difference is this is a much taller tyre, so it's got a different gearing, so you're going to need more gearing, you're going to have more accelerator to get things to turn around, which means more fuel as well. Noise wise, this is super quiet. Mickey Thompson do a pretty quiet tyre for how aggressive the tread pattern is, but it's reasonably quiet, but you can hear them a little bit. But over the roof racks and the exhaust, you wouldn't even notice it. Mud. That's when you really see the difference between these two tyres. This will eject mud due to these big gaps through here. If mud gets stuck on here, you just dab that throttle and it ejects the mud out, and it works amazingly well off-road in mud. But let me tell you, I have put these tyres through all sorts of mud and done reasonably well. The difference is the type of mud you're in. If there's a hard base, these will find grip and keep you going, but if it's just that sloppy clay stuff, this will turn into a racing slick basically, and you'll have no chance. Even if you dab the throttle, it'll just fill up with clay and you won't get out, you get stuck. So mud, this is much better. Snow, I live in South Australia, we don't have snow, so sorry, you have to look elsewhere for that opinion. So that's the upsides to increasing your tyre size, but there's some downsides too. And the obvious one's fuel economy, we've talked a little bit about that, but there's some other things too. This tyre weighs something like 36 kilos, this weighs almost 50 kilos. That's an incredible amount of weight and extra force that's going through your driveline. I've snapped 3 wheel studs, 4 I think actually, and I think that's just because it's such a big heavy tyre and rim, and the car trying to turn it over every time it's been while towing, so it could be how tight the bolts are or how not tight enough the bolts are, so you really have to have a look at that. And I almost think you need to put some sort of a maintenance schedule for your wheel studs. If you're running these full time and towing a lot, I would change my wheel studs maybe every 50,000 Ks just to be safe, because they do wear. I've gone through 4 of them on 2 sets of occasions now. We talked a bit about the weight, and if you're close to your GVM, putting bigger tyres on is going to push you even closer. So I've measured them, and the difference between having my 5 standard sets of tyres and putting the bigger tyres on adds 80 kilos to the weight of my whole car. That's like another passenger, depending how much they've eaten. And that could be enough, if you've got a full car going away, to push you over your GVM. I'll talk about storage, where you put your spare tyre. This car, like, I thought I was spending a couple of grand on getting some bigger tyres and rims, but then where do I put the spare? The spare is supposed to live under here. But as soon as you go to a bigger tyre, it no longer fits. So I had to get a rear bar mounted as well. So that added another $4,000. So a few grand for the tyres, a few grand for the bar. It's getting an expensive exercise. So do you get a aluminium rim or a steel rim? Okay, these are the things to think about. Well, first of all, if you've got a steel rim, if this gets damaged, chances are if you've got a mallet, you could knock it back out enough to get the tyre back on the bead out in the bush. So you can repair a steel rim. If you have enough damage to an aluminium rim, it'll fracture and there's no repairing it. You basically put it in the bin and get another one. Weight wise, you need more aluminium to have the same strength as steel. So aluminium isn't necessarily lighter than a steel rim. The cost, steel rims are heaps cheaper. They're like 160 bucks, and I think you'd double that if you bought an aluminium rim. Alright, talking about if you're going to buy this next set of rims, what size are you going to go? For me, the factory size is 18, and I dropped to a 17-inch tyre. Why did I do that? Because I wanted more rubber, so when I deflate the tyre, I've got less room before hitting the actual steel rim when I'm off-road, if I hit a rock or something like that. And it also means I can deflate the tyre more, so we get a longer tread pattern. However, if you look at the load weight that you can carry between the two tyres, a 17-inch rim or a tyre cannot carry the same amount of load as an 18-inch tyre. And you can have a look at the load. This one, for example, is 1,650 kilos. This one's about 1,300 kilos on your corner. So no matter what, if I've got two of these on the back, no matter what my back axle's rated at, I can only carry 2.6 tonne on my back axle, which is a fair bit, but you've got to keep these things in mind. Towing. Without a doubt, it's easier to tow it with a smaller tyre. Just for the gearing, it's not trying to hunt for gears. If you go up a slight incline with a bigger tyre, it's always wanting to drop back a gear, whereas with a standard gearing of the tyre, you don't have to at all. You'll use heaps more fuel when you use a bigger tyre, but there's a little bit of a trick to that because the rolling diameter is further, so it might be saying that you're using 2, 3, 4 litres per 100 more, but in fact it's not as bad as that because you're going further. So probably, say if it says it's using 3 litres per 100 more, which is pretty accurate actually between the two, it's probably only 1 if you're just looking at the dash figures. How many kilometres am I going to get out of these tyres if I swap them around? So this one over here was my factory. I got, it was like 40, maybe 45,000 Ks out of those tyres. Then I went and bought 2 sets. The Mickey Thompsons are amazing, but to use them as an off-road tyre, they quote you're going to get 90,000 Ks or something if you rotate them. Rotating is really important on these tyres, by the way. They get loud if you don't rotate them. So if possible, every 5,000 Ks, but no more than 10,000 Ks. But when you start to wear them down, when these get to 40,000 Ks, I think there's not going to be enough tread block in them to actually use them in a significant way in mud and things anymore. So if I get 40, 50,000 Ks out of these, that'll be fine too. You probably keep driving on the road, but what's the use in using a bigger tyre on the road? Sand might be good, that's about it. So this bit's specific for the patrol guys. We come with nearly a 33-inch tyre standard. We can go up 2 inches to 35, and man, they look so good with 35s on them. You can do that without even lifting the car on the Y62 Patrol. I've got a lift, so I'm thinking 37s next, and I reckon that is going to look awesome. It's going to create a whole heap of problems. I'm going to have to get diff gears and all sorts of things, but how awesome would 37s look on this car? So I hope you liked my little chat with you guys about changing tyres and running 2 sets of tyres. There's a few things to think about besides the dollars only. So I hope this has given you a bit of an insight. If you like this sort of stuff, check out my channel, hit that subscribe button, wherever it is, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Yeah.